What if I told you that one man 500 years ago designed a helicopter, a tank, a diving suit, and a robot? What if I told you he dissected over 30 human corpses in secret, hunted by the church, that he wrote entirely backwards in mirror script, hiding something? And what if I told you he never finished anything? The greatest genius in human history was also its greatest failure. This is not the story you were taught in school. This is the story of a man who saw the future so clearly, it destroyed him. This is Leonardo da Vinci. April 15th, 1452. A baby is born in a farmhouse outside the village of Vinci. His name, Leonardo. His crime, he was born. You see, Leonardo's father, Ser Piero, was a wealthy notary. His mother, Caterina, was a peasant girl. They were never married. In Renaissance Italy, this meant Leonardo was illegittimo, a bastard. He couldn't inherit property. He couldn't follow his father's profession. He couldn't even use his father's surname. He was nothing. Because Leonardo couldn't become a notary, because he was barred from the universities, because he was considered less than, he became free. While legitimate sons memorized Latin texts, Leonardo roamed the countryside. He watched water flow over rocks. He dissected dead animals. He studied how birds caught the wind. He didn't learn about nature from books. He learned from nature itself. Psychologists today have a term for what Leonardo became: avoidant. Abandoned by his mother at age 5, rejected by his father's legitimate family, Leonardo learned that nothing lasts, that completion means loss, that finishing something means letting it go. Remember that. It will haunt him forever. At 14, Leonardo's father made a decision that would change history. He apprenticed his bastard son to Andrea del Verrocchio, one of Florence's master artists. This wasn't charity. Ser Piero knew his son had something. Even as a child, Leonardo's drawings were unsettling in their precision. But nothing prepared Verrocchio for what walked into his workshop. Within months, Leonardo mastered techniques that took others years. But he didn't just learn them, he improved them. He mixed his own paints, ground his own pigments, experimented with chemicals no one had tried. Then came the day that ended Verrocchio's career as a painter. Verrocchio was painting the Baptism of Christ. He asked his young apprentice to paint one small angel in the corner. Just one angel. When Verrocchio saw what Leonardo had created, an angel so lifelike, so radiant, it made everything else look dead by comparison. Legend says he put down his brush and never painted again. Leonardo was 24. But recognition brought danger. On April 9, 1476, an anonymous accusation was dropped into the tamburo, the denunciation box in Florence. Leonardo da Vinci was charged with sodomy. In Renaissance Florence, this was a death sentence. The punishment? Burned alive. The case was dismissed. Twice. Someone powerful protected him, probably his father or his master. But Leonardo learned something that night. The world would destroy him if it could. He began writing in mirror script, everything reversed, everything hidden. Some say it was just left-handedness, but Leonardo was ambidextrous. He chose to write backwards. What was he hiding? What did he know that we still don't understand? By his 30s, Leonardo's mind had become a weapon against himself. He was painting the Adoration of the Magi, a masterpiece commission that would make him famous. He had it planned, sketched, begun. He never finished it. Instead, he became obsessed with something else. What makes humans move? This is where Leonardo crosses a line no artist had ever crossed. He didn't just want to paint the body. He wanted to understand it from the inside. So he began cutting up corpses. At night, in hospitals and morgues, Leonardo performed autopsies. This was not only taboo, it was heresy. The church taught that the body was sacred, that dissection was desecration. Leonardo didn't care. He made over 240 drawings of human anatomy, so precise that medical students use them today, 500 years later. He discovered how heart valves work. He mapped the human vascular system. He found where tears come from. But with each discovery, Leonardo pulled further from the world. The more he understood, the less he could finish. The Adoration? Abandoned. Saint Jerome? Abandoned. The Virgin of the Rocks? A legal battle lasting 25 years. Patrons stopped hiring him. Florence whispered that Leonardo da Vinci was brilliant and broken. But then, in 1482, Leonardo did something desperate. He wrote a letter. A letter to the Duke of Milan, Ludovico Sforza. But this wasn't a letter from an artist. Listen to this. I can design portable bridges. I can drain moats and construct scaling ladders. I can make bombards and mortars. I can build armored vehicles, safe and unassailable. I can design ships. I can sculpt in marble, bronze, or clay. 10 paragraphs about weapons, engineering, and warfare. 1 sentence about painting, almost as an afterthought. The Duke hired him, not as an artist, as a military engineer. And in Milan, Leonardo would create his first masterpiece, and his greatest failure. Duke Ludovico gives Leonardo an impossible task: paint the Last Supper on the monastery wall. The moment Jesus reveals that one of his disciples will betray him. For 2 years, Leonardo worked in a way no one had seen. Some days he'd paint for 12 hours without stopping. Other days he'd arrive, stare at the wall for 4 hours, paint a single brushstroke, and leave. Monks complained. The Duke demanded progress. But Leonardo was doing something no artist had ever attempted. He was painting psychology. Look at the apostles. Each face tells a different story. Shock, denial, horror, anger. And Judas, sitting in shadow, clutching his silver, his face a portrait of guilt. Leonardo walked the streets of Milan looking for faces. He'd follow criminals, saints, beggars, and nobles, studying their expressions. Legend says he told the monastery's prior that if he didn't stop rushing him, he'd use the prior's face for Judas. The prior left him alone. When it was finished, people wept. It was the most powerful painting anyone had ever seen. But Leonardo had made a fatal error. He'd experimented with a new technique, mixing oil and tempera directly on dry plaster. Within 5 years, the Last Supper began to flack. Within 20, it was crumbling. Leonardo had created an immortal masterpiece that was dying. This is the tragedy of Leonardo da Vinci. His mind moved so fast, reached so far, that nothing in the physical world could keep up. His tanks were too heavy to move. His flying machines needed engines that wouldn't exist for 400 years. His perfect city required plumbing systems Renaissance Italy couldn't build. He saw the future, but he was trapped in the past. Then the French invaded Milan. Duke Ludovico fell, and Leonardo, now 47 years old, became a refugee. For the next 20 years, he would wander Italy like a ghost. Florence, Rome, Venice. Each city would commission him. Each city would be disappointed. But in Florence, exhausted and aging, Leonardo would paint one more thing. Something that would outlive everything else. A silk merchant's wife named Lisa Gherardini sits for a portrait, a simple commission. Leonardo is 51, exhausted, broke. He would work on this painting for 16 years. He would never deliver it. He would carry it with him everywhere, touching it, adjusting it, perfecting it, until the day he died. What was he painting? Art historians have analyzed this painting for 5 centuries. They've found multiple layers, hidden portraits underneath, landscapes that don't exist, mathematical proportions embedded in her face. But here's what they found that changes everything. Leonardo used sfumato, a technique of layering translucent glazes so thin you'd need 30 coats to create a shadow. Each layer took weeks to dry. He painted her smile with glazes 1 molecule thick. Think about that. 1 molecule. Leonardo was manipulating matter at a microscopic level in 1503. And that smile? It's an optical illusion. When you look directly at it, it fades. Look at her eyes, and it returns. Leonardo engineered a smile that exists and doesn't exist simultaneously. Why? Maybe because Leonardo understood something we're only now discovering, that reality itself is uncertain, that observation changes what we see, that nothing is ever truly finished. The Mona Lisa is his self-portrait, not literally, but metaphorically. That smile is the smile of someone who knows something you don't, who sees something you can't. That smile is Leonardo looking at us from the future. Leonardo is 64, his right hand paralyzed by a stroke. The new French king, Francis I, invites him to France, not to work, but to simply be. No commissions, no deadlines, no expectations. For the first time in his life, Leonardo da Vinci was free. In those final years, he organized his notebooks. Over 7,000 pages of secrets, inventions, observations, and dreams. He knew they were important. He knew they were unfinished. Everything was unfinished. But maybe that was the point. Scientists today estimate Leonardo was 400 years ahead of his time. He understood turbulence in water. We only mathematically proved it in the 20th century. He sketched contact lenses, invented in 1887. He described plate tectonics, confirmed in the 1960s. How? Because Leonardo da Vinci didn't think like us. He didn't see the world as separate categories: art, science, engineering, anatomy. To him, it was all one thing. Water flowing and cloth folding followed the same mathematics. A bird's wing and a human arm were the same structure. Everything connected. He saw the pattern. On May 2nd, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci died in France. Legend says King Francis held him as he passed. He left behind thousands of pages of notes, dozens of unfinished paintings, and a single completed portrait of a woman with an impossible smile. We're still catching up to him. Every helicopter is Leonardo's dream realized. Every medical textbook contains his drawings. Every engineer knows his name. But here's the real secret. Leonardo da Vinci was never trying to finish. He was trying to understand. And understanding has no end. He was never broken. He was never a failure. He was just 500 years early. The man who saw tomorrow is still showing us today. What Leonardo da Vinci understood, what he tried to tell us through every unfinished painting and every hidden note, is that genius isn't about completion. It's about curiosity. It's about never stopping, never settling, never believing you've seen it all. And maybe, just maybe, that's why she's smiling. She knows the secret. Do you?